Hey everybody, this is Jessica, and in the previous tutorials I showed you how to load up all the elements for your kit, namely the patterns, the actions, the brushes, and the styles. Now I'm going to show you how to use the main actions, which is super easy, but I'll go over all the details so that you have all the information you need. And one thing that I will point out, whenever I showed you how to load up the patterns, I showed you how to load them up, they were a single pattern file. Well, I got a great suggestion from a user to break them up into individual collections. So before I do this release, they're going to be in separate collections. And you can just add one of them or add all of them. But to run these actions, you need to load up at least the gold paper collection. So make sure you have that pattern collection loaded up before you run the actions. And then after that, you can just load up whatever patterns collections you like to work with. So I'm just going to show you how the new actions are more streamlined, more easy, and give you more control. And the colors are also better because of the way that I layered things and the blend modes and all of that. So I have this text here, and this could be a shape layer or a raster layer, but I'm just going to select that, and I'll actually select the text and change it to a color just for this example. So I'm just going to change this to like a blue or something, so that's fine. So I've got this text here and I want to run my couture action on it. So I'm just going to make sure I have the actions, press the couture action here and press play down here, and that's going to give me this really cool effect. And so if I open up my layer group here, I'm going to see my layer on the bottom. There's going to be a color layer on top of it, which you can just tap that and control your color of your item so easily. And then right above that, there is a green layer, and this is a really important one. This is the main couture pattern. So you just double click on this, and you can go through all of your couture patterns, which I have Instaglam loaded there up top, so you'll see that. But I can just go through here and just try out all of the different amazing styles and find one that I like. So it's just really that easy, and it's just nice. You can just double click it right there, and you don't have to go into the layer group or anything like that. So it's super convenient. But above it, you may see there's a gold option, and that option is in case you want your couture styles in rich gold. So if you turn that on, that's going to be the gold style. So it's just going to ignore everything, these two things down here. So you can double click in there and just do the same thing, and you can go through and try out all these different gold styles, and it will just they're by default in just gold, so they're really nice. So that is if you want to do the styles in gold. So I've got that there, and then above it we have the iridescent option, and iridescent option is something that was on Creative Couture before, and it adds a really cool iridescent overlay. But for the most part, this iridescent option looks really nice if you're using some of the lighter patterns or the more jeweled ones. So for this example, I'm going to turn off the gold option, and I'm going to change my color to black, which if you want anything to have no color, you change that color to black right there. Then I'm going to go to my pattern, and for this one, since I know that I want like an iridescent effect, I'm going to go to either one of my jewels or my pavés, which those look excellent with that iridescent overlay. And that's the main reason why I added that to this collection, is because of the jewels and the pavés. It just makes an excellent kind of luminosity and effect to it, because jewels are often like kind of have an iridescence to them, so it just makes it really beautiful. So I'm going to turn on my pavé 14, which is really one of my really favorite effects here, and zoom in. I'll zoom in a little bit, and then I'll just turn my iridescent option on. And as you can see, it just adds this really cool iridescent overlay. And by default, this is the blend mode set to overlay, 50% opacity, which you could play with that and make it less or more. But by general nature, these jeweled styles look better with a soft opacity. And then if you double click in here, you can change the iridescent overlays. So I've got a collection of all different styles of iridescent overlays. So you can kind of have fun experimenting with that. And you can also change the scale of them if you want through here. So that's just really simple. And when I was making this, I just wanted to make everything really simple. So the main extra with this is the iridescent option. But if you remember before, I did have some different effects, and I'm just going to turn this off here. And I did have some like gold flake overlays and some jeweled overlays. But rather than just add another layer, I just, you have it in here, and what you can do if you want to use those gold flake overlays or the jeweled overlays is take this iridescent option, change it to normal, turn the opacity to 100%, and then you can just go through here and go through and check out these loose jewel overlays, and you can put them over anything you want, or the gold leaf overlays. So they're still there. They're just like not as common to use, so I just you can always just use this layer here to add those to your effect. And for example, I'll just I'll change my color back to pink, and maybe I want to change this couture pattern, and I'm gonna change it to like a dark one, like one of the metal mixes ones, because really these jeweled overlays and the gold flake overlays will look better with enough contrast. And so you'd probably want to pick a pattern below it that's like either a solid color or just a really dark one with enough contrast. So there, you know, you have an example of just the gold flakes over the just a solid color. So that is the new couture action, which just gives you all the options in one action rather than you having to decide, oh, I want to do it in rich gold or I want to do it in color like you did before. I give you all that options with less layers just right here. So it's really easy. And for the next thing that I'm going to show you is working with an illustration that's like perhaps pre-colored. And this is how the new action really shines. So this works better on, you know, simple things, or if it doesn't have like too many colors that are all together. But something like this you might drag in from Illustrator, and hey, I'd like to do this in like a glitter style or something. So I'm simply just going to press play and run my couture action. Well, that looks like it did before, no big deal. You can still control the color, you can still control all that kind of stuff. You can put it in gold, whatever. But a new feature in how I set it up is really cool, is if you turn off the color mode, the color layer here, well then it just uses the color that's on the layer right there. So that's just super easy and effortless. And all I had to do is just press play to get that effect. So now I'll show you, I'll go through the main patterns, and you can just see how fun and easy it is to try out all these different styles on this. So you see how it uses the color that was on there, and then you can just flip through and do all these amazing, try all these amazing different styles, and it's just like so easy. And all you had to do is just drag your thing in there. So that's just something super awesome and effortless, and just always trying to make my systems better. So that's the couture actions, and let's hear. Now I'm just going to, oh, the other thing that I did is I made this elements compatible. So I made these actions down here that are paint couture, no folder, or couture no folder. Well, so far I've only shown you the couture action, but I'm going to show you this one, which is couture no folder. And I'll just press play, and basically this gives you all the same layers, all the same functionality, but I didn't make a layer group so that this way Elements users can have this system and use it, because Elements does not allow for grouped layers. So that's all the difference that it is. Or you can use this if you like on Photoshop if you don't want to make a layer group, but it's just that easy. And so the other thing that I'll show you is the Paint Couture Actions, which is, you're familiar with this, and basically it works the same as before. You just press Paint Couture, and it's going to make you a little layer group. You open up that layer group, and all it does is it made you a layer that you can paint on, and so that all these effects will be automatically applied. And so the red layer is the one that you look for. You grab your brush tool, and you can go over here and grab one of your pens or something. And I'll just grab, let's see here, creamy paintbrush. And then you can just paint and you'll have the styles, automatically applied. And so this is really nice so that you can see some of your effects as you draw, which for me personally is really very helpful. And it kind of just gives me, I don't know, it just makes it easier for me. So that's all that kind of, all the same kind of stuff that you were used to working with before. And of course, you can turn on the gold and do it in gold. You can turn off the gold so it's in color. You can change the color to whatever you want, or in fact, turn off that color layer and it uses the color that you drew in. So super easy, paint couture, have so much fun with it. It's just so super easy. And likewise, the paint couture action no folder, all it does is does the exact same thing, except it puts those adjustment layers on there for you, but it didn't make it in a folder. And this way that Elements users can have that action too. So that's the basics of working with the Creative Couture system. And as you see, it's really just effortless. I just went into all the details so that you have all the information that you need. And if you have any questions, just feel free to ask. So I hope you enjoy working with the new, totally improved Creative Couture system. And also, I will point out that with the new layering and the blend modes and everything, and how I redid the pattern file, so the golds are really more brilliant, and also the colors are more true. And another thing about the gold styles is this collection is such a diverse collection based on haute couture. So some of the dark, super dark styles that I made, like you have all of the options in gold, but some of the patterns won't really look that good in gold because they're meant to be really dark, and so by default they're going to be like more brown or something. But just don't use those. But you have that gold option if you want. So hope you enjoy this, and then check out the next video, which is using the one-click ASL Photoshop layer styles for really fast workflow.